The podcast that you're about to hear contains acts of sex and violence. The hosts do not claim to be experts on the subjects that they present. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to Brutal Nation, the podcast series dedicated to lesser-known serial killers and acts of true crime. Yay! I'm your host, Scott Alexander, and right across from me is Miss Tammy Underwood. So I asked you an important question when you came in.
Can I say hi?
Yeah, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
It's always something with you.
Well, you never let me say hi anymore. It's like,
You'd never...
you know our fans love me most. That's what Maritza says.
Oh, my God, you so fucking wish.
Dude,
sad.
if your ex-wife says that I'm the best one on the show, I'm the best one on the show.
She said that so you didn't attack her because you look like a fucking Sasquatch.
She said that before she even knew she was going to meet me.
Now, I can tell
and
you...
then she couldn't wait to take a picture with me. And she just let you be in the background.
Well, I can say this. You must be tough because your pants look like you fought a fucking bear on the way over
off,
here.
Dude.
They're all tore up.
I like my fucking...
You're bear wrestling. That's illegal in Oklahoma. Remember, we found that out. You can't wrestle bears in Oklahoma.
It's called stress. They're stressed out.
Oh, that
distressed, excuse me. Distressed.
I'm distressed.
I need to get me some more jeans. I'm like looking in my fucking thing around my area, and I'm like, I cannot find a pair of jeans to save my life.
So you've been fucking with me for 2 goddamn weeks over this next one.
Like almost 3. Ever since I started Joseph Mengele, I knew I was
going
to do him next.
Do you know how close I've come to researching this myself?
I'd kick your ass.
I
don't even fucking research the ones you tell me you're doing. I'm like, oh, he said he's going to do that one, so I'm not even going to touch it.
So today she's going to be doing Shiro Ishii.
Shiro Ishii.
Out of Japan.
Japan.
And yeah, just take it away because I gotta fucking find out about this. It's killing me.
He is fucking whoa, dude. Because we thought Joseph Mengele was bad.
Right. Well, yeah, because
know,
my thing was, when you're sewing twins together,
yeah, just to simulate Siamese twins.
Yeah.
That's just wrong on all levels. And injecting people with typhus and tuberculosis.
Yeah, pregnant women, injecting them with
and then fucking stabbing the other twin who didn't die in the heart with chloroform so that, that's
throwing the baby in the oven.
Yeah, dude.
So I don't think that, I honestly, in my heart, don't think that Shiro Ishii can be, he might be equal, but how do you get much worse than that?
He's worse.
Get the fuck, okay,
Way
take her away.
Worse. Okay, so the brief introduction is, I was kind of just talking about it, that I chose to present this case today because, it does tie into, the Mengele cases. I guess, and then I go, maybe it more than ties in. Shiro Ishii is often referred to as the Japanese Mengele. He was in charge of the infamous...
Hold on. Does that mean he came with subtitles?
Probably.
Like, we see in the fucking martial arts movies?
Godzilla.
In Godzilla.
Godzilla movies. Mothra, Godzilla. Anyways, I'll never forget the Godzillas from way back when. I've seen a couple of them lately, and I'm like, dude, we'd like that.
You already know I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I got Godzillas everywhere, man.
Yeah. So this, the Unit 731, it was known for utilizing its prisoners for the purpose of performing the cruelest experiments on them. He did this until he was captured by the U.S. government.
Now, when you say prisoners, are these people that committed crimes, or is it kind of like the internment camps from the Nazis?
It was people who I get into it here in a second.
Okay, no, roll on, Big Mama.
Roll on, Big Dad. Oh, it's not. Big Wheeler, I guess is what it's called. I want to give you a little background. In 1925, within a few years after the end of World War I, the Geneva Protocol was established. Okay, this prohibited countries from using any chemical or biological warfare. However, it didn't mean a damn thing to Shiro Ishii. Not one thing. After graduating from university and enlisting in the Army Medical Corps, he started reading about the bans the Geneva Protocol laid out. And while reading the information, he got a bright idea. So when I came across this information in my research, I pictured that moment in a cartoon when the person thinking has a thought bubble with a light bulb turns on. He's like, ding! Because, I'm a visual thinker, so that's what I think about. It's really funny when I think cartoons for real people. He figured that they were off limits due to the potential. Well, more like actual danger they presented. Therefore, by their very dangerous nature, they most surely were the best weapons to use. Okay? That's when he began to devote his entire life to studying the most deadly science he could. He did germ warfare. He had inhuman inhumane experiments on live subjects, all done in an effort to place the Empire of Japan in the top echelon when it came to world powers.
They already are. They have Godzilla. I mean, come on.
So let's get into the story of what I call true Dr. Evil. He was born in 1892 in Japan. He was the fourth son, and his father was a well-known sake maker. I love sake.
Huh. I like his dad.
And a successful landowner. Yeah.
Get back to the sake making.
No shit, yo.
Come to adopt me. Shit.
I know. We have a sake plant out in Forest Grove. Don't even say a word. My mom's allergic to alcohol, so there you have it.
That's okay. I'm not, because I can get tanked, and your mom can put that Catwoman outfit on that I sent you pictures of.
I fucking hate you, because now that's all I picture. I just
Which
hate
one?
you.
The more traditional one that was
The second one you sent me.
Yeah,
The like really shiny pleather one. It's just
I'm
like,
thinking of it with that riding crop on the first one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fucking wrong.
That's hot.
Shut up. Anyways, and his dad was also a landowner. It's safe to say that his family enjoyed significant wealth for that time. Young Ishii did phenomenally well in his studies due to what some say was a true photographic memory. And he did so well that he was called a potential genius, like a protege. When Harumi, Ishii's daughter, was later interviewed, she went on about her father's intelligence. She alluded to the fact that this intelligence, if he had chosen the path, would have made him a remarkably successful politician. However, due to the extreme patriotism he had for Japan as a whole and its emperor specifically, he enlisted in the military at a rather early age. Which I think is weird, because I thought all Asian countries, because I know Korea has it and I've heard China has it, that once a male reaches 18, they're required to be in the military.
A lot of countries are like that. Like Switzerland's that way too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have to join the military at 18, serve.
I thought Switzerland was a peaceful nation.
Who do you think guards Rome? It's a Swiss guard.
I understand that, but
Well,
they
guard the Vatican.
aren't they like known for the unbiased opinions?
Yeah, they're a neutral country, but I'll tell
and
you
then
what.
there's the French who just are pussies. And
Okay,
I'm sorry, France.
You know what? Fuck France, because let me tell you why.
I'm sorry,
They're
France. Well, we have
I'm
a
not-
French market, so
We do?
not all of them are.
Oh, gee, I am so sorry to our French market. I don't mean that you're pussies
Parlez-vous
at
français?
all.
That's all I know. And je t'aime.
Yeah, I know none of that shit.
Do you speak French? And I love you. Yeah.
No, I don't know how to speak that shit.
Yeah.
I speak real language.
So why do I have to fuck the French? What did they do wrong now?
Everything.
Really? Do you have
ever
anything
been to
specific that they've
Number
done
one,
to
number
you?
one, when you go to France and they find out that you're an American, they treat you like garbage.
Seriously?
Fucking dicks,
Aren't
man.
we like their number one tourist base?
Yeah, we are. French don't give a fuck.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we go
Oh,
to
you're
the
an
Eiffel
American.
Tower
Yeah,
and the Leaning
fuck
Tower of
them.
Pisa. Yeah, dude, fuck
them.
that shit, man. And their bistros. God, I want to go to France.
I don't. Been there. Don't want to do it again.
I want to be a world traveler, but I can't afford it, and I hate flying.
Do your wings get tired?
Shut up.
Just
As
asking.
one would expect from a model student, he performed well in the military. He towered over the average Japanese man because he was 6 foot tall. Can you believe that?
God, that's a big fucking Jap.
Dude, my brother is 6'2", but he's half American, and he comes from, we're part Dutch, which is like the tallest people in the world. We're known for our height.
There must have been some radiation poisoning. He's like a teenage mutant turtle, but like Japanese.
He's a teenage mutant doctor.
Jesus, that's
yeah,
a
he was
tall
6 foot
Japanese
tall.
guy.
So to say he was the atypical recruit is an understatement. From the first day he reported for duty, he exuded a commanding appearance, and his uniforms, like Mengele's, were always spotless. He was very well groomed, and he had a really deep voice. Yeah.
He didn't like talk like this. You want number 2 sushi plate?
Yeah, see,
Something
and
like
that's
that?
really, I'm not trying to be racist.
I am.
We have to remember, I grew up in a Korean family. I was married to a Korean man. I have seen, and this could just be me stereotyping, that a lot of Asians are short,
Yeah.
and they have more of that whiny, nasally voice as opposed to the deep, baritone.
Right. Well, Japanese is a little bit different because, like in Japanese, everything is very kind
they're
of
still-
oh type of a sound. That's the only way I know how to put it.
Oh yeah, they have that like Yeah.
Like even when you're saying like something like "thank you," oh, kudasai. It's it's very deep.
Konnichiwa.
Yeah, konnichiwa. It's very deep.
Yeah, I
and
guess it does
powerful.
have that kind of guttural, because I've noticed that Korean, I used to speak Korean fluently, wish I still could, but is more, I mean, everything is A or O at the end. Yeah.
Hey, oh, hey. Sorry, go ahead. My
Dude,
bad.
Don't even try to rap. It's not even funny.
Okay, homie. I'm just chilling over here. She's looking for shit to throw at me now.
I am looking for something, and that would hurt, so I'm not going to throw that. As he served in the Army, he discovered his true passion. That passion was science, more specifically military medicine. He set upon a mission to become a doctor, and he, wanted to be a doctor of the Imperial Japanese Army. He was accepted into the medical department of Kyoto Imperial University in 1916, and I've seen pictures of him back then. He was a very good-looking man.
So was Mengele.
Dude, I know Mengele, I'm sorry, was fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, he's a gorgeous
If I
man.
didn't know he was SS and all that shit, I would be like, dude, he's fucking good looking.
No, he's good looking.
Dark hair, dark eyes, so he wasn't your, the preferred Aryan, but still, like Hitler. But yeah, very good looking.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part, is some of these people that we're doing are very good looking people.
Well, let's go back to Homolka.
She was beautiful.
She's beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong. She gets my sugar tits award.
She was a fucking Barbie, and from the pictures I look at, I think, oh, she's snobbish. I can picture her being really snobby.
Yeah, probably, but
yeah, she was beautiful.
yeah, she's gorgeous. It's just she's a fucking twat.
Yeah. I mean, shit, man.
Beauty's only skin deep, but ugly goes straight to the bone.
That's well, and
She
let's
got
look at
the
Randy
ugly.
Kraft was good looking too.
Right.
If you look at his pictures, even when he was in court being a smiling dick over the fact that he killed all these people, he fucking was very good looking.
Right. Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know? Yeah. So, something else happened during the time that, he learned how to use the best medical practices during that time, as well as what constituted proper laboratory procedures. However, something else happened during this time. He went on to develop what some would classify as strange habits. That's what his old classmates said.
How strange, because I got some strange habits. I mean,
Yeah, well, you're not one to cheat, though. I mean, if you can't get it, if you can't do it right yourself, you don't, cheat to do it.
Oh, like in school? No. I, believe it or not, never cheated on a test. I never cheated on an essay.
I had somebody
Anything.
I had a teacher accuse me because I was in this one class, and this guy I was really good friends with, Spot, that's his nickname. He sat
I was hoping his
behind
parents
me,
didn't name him that.
and he was caught looking over my shoulder, and they said that I was in on it too. And I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. And Spot was like, she had no idea that I was doing it, because he came to my defense, thank God, because I was a fucking good-ass student. I wasn't going to cheat.
Dude, I told you the story about my calculus teacher.
Right. Yeah, the one that said
that thought I was cheating because
Yeah.
I can't. My brain processes mathematics differently, and that's because of my
Don't you
dad.
do it backwards?
Yeah, and I do everything backwards. There's no way that you could have. So we had to sit there after school with my counselor,
Right.
writing out theorem. And it's like, goddamn, I'm not cheating. This is just the way that I process it and how I do it.
Right, and you think in a roundabout way anyways when you're
I do.
just anything. It's like you're ass backwards, so whatever.
Oh, yeah, I speak in big circles and
Oh my
circle
God,
back
yes.
around. I write the same way. That's why you edit half of my fucking letters.
Dude, I have to, because you're like, you start something here and then you go on to something else and then you talk about what you said over here. So I'm like, no, dude, we got to keep that the same. Same.
You got to think of it this way. It's kind of like I'm like the Quentin Tarantino
And
of
you're
writing.
like choppy too when you write
Yeah,
your
it's like
letters.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, you are very Quentin Tarantino. And I'd love to just have a conversation with that man.
Okay, so go ahead.
Anyway, so he was known for the pets he kept, quotation marks. These pets were petri dishes of bacteria. However, that wasn't his only strange habit. I mean, he kept them, and it's
That's strange. He's a scientist.
Dude, that's weird.
No, it isn't.
Okay, anyways, the other habit he had made the other students resent him. He would sabotage the work that they did. He often worked in the lab well after the other students had cleaned up their areas. So while he was working, he would utilize their equipment, and when he was finished, he left it dirty.
So, that's fucked up.
Yeah, and so he did this on purpose so that the students would receive discipline from the professors. Yeah, he was just like, it's like, you're already the pet. Do you really have to sabotage others and fucking, you know what I mean? Make enemies
That's
too?
a fucking dick move. That's what that is.
Yeah.
It's a total dick
It's
move.
a dick move. Ishii never seemed to be punished for these actions, even though the other students were well aware of them. If the professors were aware, it didn't seem that it seemed like he was being rewarded for his behavior. So in 1927, after he read up on the use of biological weapons, it seemed as if his immense ego grew even more. That's when he made the decision to be the best maker of biological weapons the world had ever seen.
Huh. Hey, shoot for the stars. Like, no, seriously, I know it's fucked up to the people think I'm just being fucked up, but you know what? If that's your goal,
If that's your ambition,
then fucking give 110.
Yeah, 110, 120, dude. Don't do anything half-assed.
Exactly. That's that. I was having this discussion earlier. Is that there's two things that I admire about people. Number one is intelligence, and number two is work ethic.
Right.
That's my two top fucking things.
Yeah, you've often made comments about my work, and you're like, I can't believe... And I'm like, dude, this is me. This is who I am.
There's very few people that have my work ethic. And for a good reason, because we both know what the hell it does to our bodies, because we don't sleep.
Yeah, I don't sleep at all.
Yeah.
I overslept this morning. I didn't wake up till I got your text.
Oh, shit.
My alarm went off, apparently. My mom said I had a conversation with somebody. I go, I didn't talk to anybody. She goes, maybe it was yourself. I said, probably.
Yeah, but we don't sleep. We work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I've explained to people...
And I feel guilty if I don't.
And here's why. Here's why I'm in that habit. Because years and years ago, somebody had looked at my business bank accounts. They go, God, Scott, how do I make that much money? I go, it's really easy, and I'm going to give business tips from Scotty. If you want to open up your own business, number one, you need to work 7 days a week. Yeah. Oh, but Scott, I can't do that.
Like 12 hours a day.
At least.
At
your
least,
minimum your minimum day is going to be 12 hours a day. You're not the boss of jack shit. Sometimes you got to be the janitor, and you got to clean toilets.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be the gopher. So don't think that because you're the boss, you get out of anything.
Yeah, and you don't get paid.
Yeah, you're the last person to get paid.
Yeah.
The last. Your employees, your vendors, and your bills get paid first. And whatever's left, you might get a paycheck. You might not. That's how you do it.
And you don't dip into your capital.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
And every time I've told people that simple formula, they say, oh, Scott, I don't think I could probably do maybe, I don't know, a couple of hours a week. Like maybe, like I can do 40 plus couple 41 or 42 hours a week, then you don't want the money.
Yeah.
You don't want it bad enough.
Yeah. See, and my whole thing is I can do it all. It's just, it wears me out. I mean, there's times when I will fucking sleep so hard that I don't hear shit. I don't hear my alarm.
That's why I try
nothing.
not to call you in the mornings too much anymore.
Well, see, I know because I don't get to sleep till like 4 o'clock in the morning. And you call me at 6:30. I'm like, yeah, just went to sleep. Thanks, Dick.
So now that we've given everybody a business lesson,
I know.
Keep going because I want to know more about Ishii.
Yeah. Okay. So right after being inspired by the journal article he read, he pushed Japan to develop a new military arm. This arm would be designed for the sole purpose of focusing on biological weapons.
Oh.
He even took his request to the country's top commanders. So this is what you have to understand. Ishii's confidence was so big, it baffles the mind. He was a low-ranking officer at the time, and he was proposing a military strategy to the top commanders. So that's like...
I admire that.
Yeah, that is like a fucking political intern going to the president. Yeah. Just walking into his office saying, hey.
I admire that because, like I said, shoot for the stars, man. Okay, in business alone, if you're too afraid to take that step forward, you have to think to yourself, and this is what I always think, what is the worst this person can tell me?
No.
They're going to say no.
Yeah. How is that really that bad? They're not going to they can't tell you anything worse than that.
Yeah, that's the worst outcome. It's not like I'm going to go to a business meeting and they're going to go, now we're going to take away everything you have.
Yeah.
No, the worst they're going to say is no. I appreciate myself. So, I appreciate that this dude
I was going
did
to say,
that.
and you told me that you really appreciate it when you're like, low-level workers come to you with big ideas.
Yeah,
you encourage it.
Fuck yes, I do. You want to know why? You want to know why? And another business tip for people, I don't fucking know everything.
I do, but that's okay.
You wish. So, I mean, even in playing guitar itself, like there's been times I've been over at like Guitar Center And
Your church?
the church, I love Guitar Center. And there'll be like a kid who's just learning how to play. And he's playing some weird-ass shit that I've never heard before. I'm like, dude, tell you what, I'll make a trade with you. I'll show you how to do a few cool things if you show me exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and here's the difference. I've been playing for over 40 years. I'm 48, so I was 5. And this kid, you know, and this has happened time and time again, they're maybe playing 6 months to a year.
Right. But then a lot of them are learning like you did. They play by ear.
Yeah.
I mean, which I think is phenomenal because I'm tone deaf, so whatever.
When you play by ear, then you learn a little bit of music theory and what happens.
Yeah.
No, I admire what Ishii's doing, man.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and bullshit on the bottom where somebody can steal your idea and then they go to the top. You walk right into that bitch and go,
well,
hey.
And I've heard a lot of people who, like, especially musicians that are, especially ones that are starting out now, don't even know how to read sheet music.
No, everybody knows how to read tablature, but nobody knows how to read
I don't
fucking
even
sheet
know what
music.
that fuck is, but whatever. This is, okay, I already said that. Not only that, his proposal was in direct violation of the newly developed international laws of war. His argument hinged on one fact and one fact alone. It was that although Japan had signed the Geneva proposal, they had not yet made them officially valid. So that technically made the country's stance on the agreements tentative. This is what gave them the wiggle room they needed. The wiggle room allowed for the Japanese military to develop bioweapons if they chose to. Whether it was their lack of Ishii's vision for the future of Japanese military or whether they didn't share his ambiguous code of ethics is unknown. Nobody knows why. But they viewed his proposal with skepticism. So he didn't let that stop him. He pressed on and requested their permission to embark on a 2-year research tour. It would take him around the world to find out how other countries were dealing with the whole issue of biological warfare. Okay?
Okay, so I just want to catch myself up. He's already walked right in and said, hey,
let's develop these.
Let's develop
and they're
this.
like, no, I don't think so.
Then in the same breath, he's like, okay, here's the deal then. Let me travel around the world for a bit.
Yeah, so he like had a plan B in the back of his mind.
You know what?
I know, right?
You said that I'm going to think he's worse than the German dude? Nah, this dude's bomb.
No, I think you're going to think he was worse in his actions later. But no, this, I mean, other than knowing what he did, dude, he's fucking brave and fucking awesome. You know, he gets what he wants.
No, I like that.
So they granted their permission for the research tour in 1928. Okay? I've still got half cup. Thank you. Their agreement on the tour could have been due to the Japanese military's sincere interest in his efforts, you know, but they didn't, because he was such a low-level ranking, they didn't want to, like, give him that top seat yet. I think they wanted him to earn it. So either that or it was their way of making sure he remained happy. So no matter what the reason, he traveled all over Europe and the United States to visit their various facilities, and after 2 years, 2 years was up, he presented his findings along with his amended proposal. This time he found a more receptive audience. He found out that other countries were in fact continuing their research into biological warfare despite the Geneva Protocol mandates. And however, they weren't making their research a priority. You know, it was just, happening. So he figured this was either because they truly had ethical concerns or they were afraid their research would be discovered. Either way,
Either way, he's got the advantage.
Yeah. So as a result of his findings, the Japanese military took the years that precede World War II to highly consider focusing their resources on this highly controversial weaponry. Their ultimate goal... I didn't bring my antacids again. Dang it. Their ultimate goal was to guarantee that all of their techniques in battle surpassed any and every country in the world. Because we have to also remember that even though Japan was rising as a major force in military and government and everything and economics, oh, thank you, in the world, they were still an island nation.
Right.
So they... it's really weird. They just, people didn't look at them the same. So, let's see. So when he returned to Japan in 1930, he noticed that a few things had changed in the time he was away. The first thing to change was Japanese patriotism. It seemed to burn a bit brighter. Okay?
All right.
The country had an old slogan. It was a wealthy country, a strong army. And that was being shouted louder than had ever been in the previous decades. And the other thing that seemed to change, Japan was even closer to waging a war against China themselves. Yeah. So.
Right. Well, China's a huge-ass fucking country, man.
Dude, no shit, yo. Dude, they are, like, fucking huge. And their armies are, like, friggin'...
Yeah, there's kind of a lot.
Kind of a lot. I mean,
a lot of Chinese
We
going
always
on.
made sure that they're on our side, too.
Well, yeah, you don't want
Yeah.
to. Well, we can get a little bit more political on that one because recently because of Biden, but
Oh, well. Don't get me started.
well,
I
no,
don't
he's already been talking shit to China, so
Of course he has.
I read that on a
Whatever,
couple of news
dude.
outlets. But anyway, go ahead.
Talk shit to everybody. So Ishii's reputation grew exponentially during that time as well. He earned the appointment as professor of immunology, yeah, at Tokyo Army Medical School.
Tokyo.
And he was promoted to the rank of major. He was an army major. So he
Well,
also
yeah, he's a major scientist, man.
Yeah, he also gained a powerful supporter. This supporter was Colonel. I had this
Good luck.
Chikahiko Koizumi. I can pronounce Asian names better than I can.
Shigehito.
Chikahiko.
Shigehito.
Shut up. He was a well-known scientist at Tokyo Army Medical College. A little background on him. He was a veteran of World War I and beginning in 1918 was in charge of research of chemical warfare himself. Around 1918, he wasn't wearing a gas mask when he was exposed to chlorine gas. As a result of this exposure, he nearly died.
Yeah, that'll fuck you up in a hurry, man.
So once he made a full recovery, he went on to continue his research. However, the people in charge decided his work was low priority to them. So when Ishii, and that's why he supported Ishii's work, he saw a bit of himself in the younger man. Well, at least he saw someone similar. Someone who had this vision for the future of Japan. And so when Koizumi rose in the ranks, he made sure, when he got dean of the Tokyo Army Medical College, he appointed Army Surgeon General. Then he was Army Surgeon General, and then he went to Japanese Minister of Health. And each time he was given a promotion, he made sure that Ishii received one as well.
Oh, wow.
So they rose up together, you know. All Ishii cared about was receiving all the praise and promotions. You know, he's just like, give it to me. However, nothing was more important to him than his own self-glorification.
I bet you that they got free sushi.
Yeah, dude.
I'm just thinking of sushi.
Can
That
you
sounds
imagine?
bomb.
I know, since you got sick last week,
Yeah,
I was
since I got
listening to
sick,
that
yeah.
episode. I was like, oh, poor Scott, gas station sushi.
It wasn't. I don't buy sushi from like the grocery store.
Dude,
or
my
gas
son
station.
wants to get gas station sushi because my son keeps telling me, he goes, Mom, I just want to get tapeworm so I can lose some weight. I said, just fucking lose weight, dude.
Yeah, okay, that took
Yeah.
care of my wanting sushi. Thank you. Keep going.
Well,
Continue.
there's an episode of 911 that'll fucking gross you out.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. According to the public, Ishii focused his work on the research for microbiology, pathology, and vaccines. But those who were among the need to know knew this was just a minute part of the actual mission he was trying to achieve. When all was said and done, he was a popular professor. He exuded the same charisma and magnetism to win over his students that he used to gain favor with his instructors and his superiors. At night, he was often seen drinking at the bars and visiting the area geisha houses. I'd like to go to one of those. Are they fun? Have you been to one?
Yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But I can have fun almost anywhere. Like seriously,
This is
I could
true.
Be in the middle of the
I mean,
fucking
because you and
desert
I are kind of the same. It's like we go for the experience and we want to experience it fully.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I would
yeah.
be like, dude, I want it all.
Yeah.
Just give it all. Yeah,
yeah. You know,
yeah.
There's always a
I don't
party,
go
but it's
anything. I don't do anything half-ass.
Sometimes the party's only in my head, but there's always a party.
It's always in your head. I know. However, even when he was intoxicated, he would often go back to studying before he went to bed. Yeah, so he was
Damn.
dedicated to his work.
You know, up until right now, I thought I was a badass student when I was
Yeah.
in college. But I'll tell you, when I was drunker than fuck, I'm not going to go say I'm cracking the books.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Like,
and
yeah,
when I
sleep
was in
this one
high
off.
school, it's like I was so competitive. One other student started to, like get close to me as far as academics and grade point average that I fucking did extra work so I could still beat him. I was like, fuck you. You cannot be with me. So he
Can only be one Highlander.
Yeah. We can determine two things. with certainty by the behavior he displayed up to this point. The first thing we can see is how obsessive Ishii was when it came to his work. Okay? We can also determine in his uncanny ability to persuade others to do what he wants them to do. He just has that ability to like almost mind control, I guess.
Well, it goes back to that old saying.
He's a Jedi.
You get more flies with honey than you do vinegar.
True. My grandpa used to say that all the time.
Yeah. So if I'm sitting there,
That's why I flirt with everybody.
well, like with my employees, and you and I talked about this before. There's a reason why I don't yell at people.
Right.
And it's because if I'm sitting there and yelling because they made a mistake or they're not moving fast enough or whatever,
Yeah, you get firm, but yeah.
it's counterproductive. However,
Right.
if you take somebody aside and go, hey, look, this is what you did, and this is how we're going to correct this problem. You need to just be aware of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And you're cool about it. Go, okay, now get out of here, you little scamp. Then they're going, oh, hey, Scott's not such a bad guy. And it opens up that whole
Right.
pathway to where if they have a legitimate problem,
Right.
they're not afraid to come to me.
Right.
They come to me and they talk to me and they're, hey, Scott, this is what's going on. Whether it's something in
Yeah.
their personal life or something.
Yeah,
that
because they know
is-
you're not going to freak the fuck out.
Yeah. I'm not going to
Yeah.
fucking freak out and yell at them or go, that's your fucking problem, not mine. No, because I want to know their problems.
Yeah, that's exactly why my son and I have such a good relationship, and he doesn't lie to me, because I've never freaked out when he's told me shit. It's like, oh, okay. we'll
Except
do
that
it
he likes grannies now. I know he does. He gets to work in
No,
my
dude.
haven.
No.
In my haven. I would love to work. I would get so many dates if I worked where he worked. I love that.
I'm
blood
telling
flow.
you, no, seriously, dude. I have this. I call her Auntie Diana. I can call her up, dude. She'll go out with you.
Sweet.
Yeah, she's a really sweet lady too. I mean, she's about my mom's age, maybe.
Will she wear spurs?
Probably.
Nice.
Yeah, but she's in assisted living because of she couldn't live by herself anymore. But yeah, she's really.
I
Cool.
like Born to be Mild, man. That's fucking awesome. More
I
words is
mean,
better.
I've known her since I was like 18 years old.
She looks like a Shar-Pei.
And
That's
she dated
perfect.
my dad for a while, so there you go.
Ew. I'm going to have to bring Lysol, but all right. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, fuck ever, dude. My dad was awesome. Well, when he wanted to be. In other words, we can see how he was able to convince others to help him carry out the sadistic... Let me take that Tums out of my mouth. I realized it was right in there. To convince others to help him carry out his sadistic experiments, and he started it in China.
Then that's exactly the same as Mengele.
Yeah.
Because just to kind of recap on Mengele from last week for people that need a little recap, is that Mengele would sit there and he'd play with the kids. He'd bring them candy, play a
Right.
little bit of kickball with them or whatever, and have fun. He was always nice to
Right.
to people.
And the
That
Jewish
type of thing.
doctors that were there that were forced to work with him, he told them he would prolong their life if they did the work for it, like his research papers and shit.
Right. He treated all of his special projects, his experimental people, extremely well.
Yeah.
Because, and it goes back, how you communicate with people
Yeah.
dictate whether you get shit done or you get shit not done. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, for any business owner like myself, what's the goal? I'm paying you, you get the shit done.
Right. And if your employees feared you, then they're not going to be as productive.
Right, and then you get a high turnover too,
Mm-hmm.
because it costs thousands of dollars to train an employee.
Oh, I believe it.
Thousands. And even if they have experience in that field.
Yeah,
It,
because they have to do it the way your company does.
right, because
Yeah.
we have protocols for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's like Mengele when it comes to his communications. Because so far, I'm seeing all the good in Ishii. Now I know that it's going to turn out bad because I know that he's fucked up, but these are the good things I'm seeing
Yeah.
on Ishii so far.
I actually get pissed off at a lot of people by the end of this one. But in 1931, which was after the invasion of Manchuria and the formation of Manchukuo, which was the state of Manchuria a short time later, Japan started to take advantage of the resources in the region to fuel its efforts in industrialization. Okay? So basically, they wanted to be like Lord of the Rings. Like the industrial, like the orcs and shit. I don't like Lord of the Rings, but...
Were they going all Gollum on them?
Yeah.
And saying, my precious.
Yeah, I mean,
shit?
and I bring that up because my son makes fun of me because I don't like Lord of the Rings. They watch it all the time. I don't like it. And he goes, you don't even know what it's about. I said, I can tell you exactly what it's about. I've seen it many times. I just don't like it.
I've read the books, and it's... Nah, the movies don't do it for me. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and so during this time, Japan also adopted the same attitude Americans had during their Manifest Destiny period of expansion. That meant the Japanese soldiers began looking at the citizens differently. They saw the area's citizens as true obstacles to the country's industrialization efforts. However, Ishii felt differently. He believed these same citizens were potentially his personal test subjects.
Okay, yeah. I can see that. No,
Yeah.
cool.
So, in line with these beliefs, he knew that he required several facilities that varied in their usage. For example, he opened one of his weapon manufacturing facilities in Harbin, China. However, he knew that he couldn't conduct research in the same town, so the citizens there wouldn't approve of his research methods. So, he began to establish another facility. This wound up being his clandestine research facility. He built it approximately, I always say 100 clicks because I grew up in the military, which is about 100 kilometers south of Harbin in the village of Beihana, and that's spelled Beiyinhe, but it's pronounced Beihana. The entire 300 home village was leveled in order to be more made ready for the building site. Once that was done, he made sure that Chinese laborers were drafted for the sole purpose of constructing all the research buildings that he required. And it was in these same buildings that Ishii established a number of his inhumane techniques. It was quite possibly a foreshadow of what everyone soon later learned happened at Unit 731. Okay? There are very few surviving records from the Beihana facility. Yet, what did survive gives us a brief glimpse of... He's just knocking shit over. Gives us a brief glimpse of the work Ishii had done there. The facility had as many as 1,000 prisoners jammed inside, and the subjects were underground anti-Japanese workers. You know, they didn't like Japanese government. Guerrilla bands that were known to harass the Japanese, and finally innocent people that were thought to be suspicious persons. You know, I guess it's like, because remember when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor and then all of a sudden even Japanese American citizens were all thrown in internment camps?
Uh-huh.
That's kind of like the same thing.
Well, I don't remember because I wasn't alive, but I remember reading about it.
No, but you read about it. Yeah. Which I thought was atrocious. But one of the more common practices he did was to draw blood from the test subjects every 3 days or so. This would go on for several weeks. I don't explain why he did this later, but this would go on for several weeks until the subject was too weak to carry on. At that point, the researchers would just poison them since they were no longer a valuable research subject. It's believed that most of the prisoners were dead within a month from arriving at the facility. However, it's still a mystery to this day as to the number of victims he actually had. The reason we're able to know so much, I mean, even as much as we do know, is due to a prisoner rebellion. In 1934, the soldiers were celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival, and some prisoners seized their opportunity. They took advantage of the lax security from the inebriated guards, and as a result, nearly 16 prisoners were able to escape successfully. Even with the escaped prisoners, it's completely possible this facility continued operations even after that, and it officially closed down in 1937. However, it's believed to have still been running experiments as late as 1936. When it shut down, Ishii wasn't even upset. He had his sights set on opening another facility, and one that would actually make this first one seem like a romper room. Like, literally. Like, fucking the Hilton, I guess. Shiro Ishii is compared to Joseph Mengele often. And then I go, if you recall from our feature on him, Mengele was responsible for the twisted and sinister medical experiments on the prisoners housed at Auschwitz-Birkenau. As part of his post as an SS officer, he had the government authority to determine which prisoners were spared immediate death. He was also able to focus his chosen inmates to become the subjects of his research. However, Mengele was limited in his power over the entire camp and the effect his research had. In the beginning, Auschwitz was actually built as a means to produce oil and rubber. Mengele used that setting to do research under the disguise of genetics. In actuality, what he did was to satisfy his sadistic nature. But that's where Ishii differed from him. Ishii had control over his human research subjects, complete control. His research was more scientific in nature, therefore more barbaric. Because Mengele's was a pseudoscience, basically.
Right.
Where, because he wanted to do hereditary things to find out how to get blonde hair, blue eyed people, which is a pseudoscience. You can't do it.
Right, exactly.
Even with all the artificial inseminations, it's impossible. So.
I prefer the natural inseminations. That's just me. Nothing artificial about
I'm
it.
going to artificially inseminate you here in a minute.
I was thinking of your mom, but okay, go ahead.
Wait. Anyways.
She can't get pregnant.
I hate you. Ishii developed almost all of the tests. I know, because I just shut down and my face gets that. If looks could kill, you'd be in a coma.
I love that look. That's why I periodically do stuff like that.
Because you like my side eye squinty darts that I throw at you.
I never know if I'm going to survive the day.
It's a way to live. Live like you don't know whether you're going to be alive in the next minute.
Exactly.
Let's see, where was I? Ishii developed almost all of the tests performed on his victims himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had every intention of making human beings scientific data. He took what he had done with the first facility and expanded it with Unit 731. It was designed to be a self-sufficient compound. It had prison barracks for the test subjects and a facility to make the germ bombs. And it also had its own airfield with its own active air force.
I call kids germ bombs.
Why do you insert stupid shit when I'm talking?
Because it's true. They're little petri dishes and they carry every fucking disease imaginable.
Dude, I'll tell you what. My son was never allowed to ride in the carts with the cars. Never. You know why?
Why?
Because they're fucking gross.
Yeah.
Disgusting. And I would always, and this is really sad because I'm not really a germaphobe, but my son, like all kids, put things in his mouth. So I fucking always sanitize wipes and baby wipes and wipe down the cart handles and shit because I knew he'd eventually have his mouth on it.
Jake would get sick every once in a while, but most of the time he'd get a little sniffle. And if he got the sniffles, it means I had the plague. I mean, I would get sick as hell. They carry everything.
Yeah.
If a kid has the flu 50 miles away,
you're gonna get it.
I'm gonna get it because fucking my son's gonna come home and say, "Hey, Daddy, you okay? I'm fine." All of a sudden, oh, geez, I can't breathe and I feel like shit. Oh, must have the flu. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, my son had the swine flu one time and I ended up getting it, but that's a sore subject between him and I because he said I'm a horrible mom. But whatever. He also had a working crematorium to dispose of all the remains once he was finished with them.
Like Mengele.
Yeah, Mengele's crematorium. Yeah, he had the gas chambers.
He had the gas chambers, and then right next door was the crematorium.
Yeah,
so
he had
those two right there, same.
The morgue and everything. Yeah, you're right.
Same.
Yeah. So this facility compound had also another separate area. This is where the Japanese residents were housed in the dormitories, the researchers. Their housing facilities included athletic fields, a fully functioning library, fully stocked bar, and a running brothel.
I'm moving out of the U.S. right now. I'll be in Japan.
Well, Unit 731 is no longer in operation. Sorry.
God damn it. Why is it always something? I'm thinking brothel and a fucking bar. Jesus Christ. I'll tell you what. I know that what he did was cruel, but I'm kind of on board.
I died a little bit inside when we just, finished each other's sentence. I knew it was going to come, and I just died a little inside.
That beautiful facility is no more. Got a little tear in my eye.
I was just like, oh my God.
I need to call my shrink Justin. That's what I got to do.
Get him on the phone.
I just died a whole lot inside.
Yeah. Anything and everything the researchers needed to be comfortable and happy while conducting their experiments, they got. However, Ishii didn't live on this compound with them. He, his wife, and their children lived in Harbin. They moved into a mansion that was still standing from the period Manchuria was under Russian control, and his daughter often described it as being just like the plantation house in Gone with the Wind.
Ooh.
So you can imagine how big it was. If anybody's ever heard of the name Unit 731, which I have not really heard about the Japanese, about Ishii until I started doing research on him. And I think there's a reason, and I'll get into it in the end. But still,
I might have. in college, but seriously, I was really high and drunk a lot in college.
Well,
I'm
and I was
still
going to
surprised
say,
I got my
I've
first
heard of
that day.
Mengele. I mean, like,
Yeah.
briefly of Mengele
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all the shit that happened in Auschwitz and everywhere else. But I had never heard about what happened in Japan. And it's very weird. So the horrors were designed by Ishii as early as 1935 when he was in Pingfang. There have been... I'm waiting for you to say something stupid.
Did you see I'm just over here smiling?
Yeah, because you notice I shot... Every time I say something, I'm like, he's going to say something, I shoot you a look. That's why I like having us across from each other.
I love the looks you give me because it's like, don't say it, but still you have that look like that motherfucker's gonna say
He
it.
is. And then when you don't, I'm like, thank God, and then later you say it.
I have ping
You
fang in my
circle
pants,
back.
by the way.
Huh?
I have a little ping fang going on in my pants.
I knew you were
yeah.
going to say something stupid. There have been many
Give
attempts
you my
throughout
kamikaze.
fuck off, the decades to cover up what truly happened there. However, with the power of the internet, we're able to learn more than we have in the past. One thing that seems to get ignored with all the tales of human research is the motivation that drove Ishii. Often the one thing that is ignored more often than that, more often than not, is the reasoning Ishii had for his inhumane tests.
He was shooting for the stars.
Well, see, and this is it. For instance, one of Ishii's goals as an army doctor was to develop battlefield treatment techniques to make their armies better.
Right.
So
I admire him.
Yeah.
The
so
dude's got goals.
Yeah. These techniques would be used on the Japanese troops. He needed to know how much a human body could take. And
Yeah.
he started out to find out.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So
you gotta know the average pain threshold.
Yeah. Well, in average pain threshold, average like trauma that can be endured.
Right. Because a lot of people don't realize this, and I found this out when I got my back all fucked up, that there's a thing called exquisite pain.
Oh, yeah. I haven't been there, but yeah.
And that's the point of pain, boys and girls, where even if you're still lucid, your body literally can feel no more pain. Because
Yeah.
it's got two choices: either block it all out or put you into shock
Yeah.
to protect itself. And I found that out because when they ran that needle up my spine,
Right.
that was about, I'm not kidding, like a foot long and about a bit as big as a pencil lead. The girl I was seeing at the time, Autumn, because she was in the ER with me, is looking at me, and she goes, and she had a strong symptom. I can't even look. She said, how are you not even flinching? I go, honestly, I can't feel it.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit of pressure,
Yeah.
but because I was in so much pain,
Wow.
there was nothing. Like, seriously, he could have said, we're going to open you up with a dull butter knife. I would have been, okay,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Wipe it down with a little rubbing alcohol first, please.
Or at least spit on it or something.
Yeah.
You do that?
Fire it up with a lighter.
Like a heroin needle?
Yeah. Remember how we used to do that? To just like, yeah, I'm sanitizing it for you. Let's see. For instance, the bleeding experiments I was just telling you about, how you
Right.
draw blood, he was able to determine how much blood the average person could lose and still survive.
That makes sense.
That's what he was doing.
It sounds fucked up the way he went about it, but it
Yeah.
makes sense at why he did
Well,
it.
yeah, because consider this. The Japanese army, they're out in the middle of, in the trenches, and one of them starts bleeding, needs to know how much blood he can lose, these people can lose and still survive to see if you can get them somewhere. If not,
Right, and it gives you a kind of a jumping off point, so to speak, going,
Right.
okay, I can assume that he lost like a pint of blood
Right.
or 2 pints. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, same. So the experiments at Unit 731 were designed to take Ishii's experiments to the next level. They were designed to involve the simulation of real-world conditions that the troops would face. For instance, this is going to gross you the fuck out, there were the pressure chamber experiments. Now, if you have a weak stomach, just plug your ears and go la 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 for a sec. Prisoners were placed into chambers, and the pressure was increased in increments until their eyeballs popped out of their sockets. It was designed to determine how much pressure the human body could safely withstand.
That doesn't surprise me because when I scuba dived,
I'd love to do
when
that.
you go on deep dives,
Yeah.
you find your return rope, and
Yeah.
it's marked off.
Right.
At so many feet. I think it's like every 10 feet or some shit like that. 'Cause I haven't been diving in over,
Did you have your license and everything?
Yeah.
See, I want to learn.
Yeah. The only thing I haven't done is work with a rebreather, but I've always wanted to do a rebreather because then I can dive with. There's a place where all those hammerhead sharks congregate.
Oh,
I think it's somewhere in
love to do that.
Bermuda or something like that. I can't remember where I saw it. But if you have a regular scuba gear, well, the bubbles will irritate them, and hammerhead shark will tear you apart.
Yeah.
They don't give two shits.
Yeah.
But if you can stand at the bottom of where they congregate like once a year, and they're not breeding, they're not feeding. It's like the big old like, hey, how's it going, Bob? And they all swim off. But you can stand at the bottom and watch them.
Wow.
And I've always wanted to do that. That and I want to dive next to a blue whale. That's
That'd be
the
awesome,
two dives that I
too.
want. But but if you get what's called the bends, because as you dive deeper and deeper, well, there's more water, so there's more
Right, so it's a little
pressure.
more pressure on you, yeah.
And if you come up too high and don't decompress, you can actually
Right.
die.
Yeah, because aren't you supposed to come up a certain way, then kind of swim in that area for a little bit, and then
Or
come
hold
up?
on to the rope. I think it's like every 10 feet. I
Yeah.
think, if I'm remembering right, because I've been on a couple of deep dives, but
Right.
I can't remember
I'm
now.
thinking about enrolling in the scuba lessons that they have at the pool in my town.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got to think that. I understand.
Well, and you also think
why.
G-force in the airplanes and in the military jets, they have all that G-force, and they have to know how much pressure they can take, how high they can go before, you know what I mean?
Yeah, before their eyeballs pop out.
Before their eyeballs pop
Before
out.
they get Ishii'd.
Yeah. Shut up. This could be our new word. I'm going to Ishii you. Yeah. So then there were the seawater experiments. Now, this was when test subjects were injected with seawater. Want to know why?
Yeah, what
It was
the
designed to see if seawater was an adequate replacement for saline solution. You know, the saline that they give you to rehydrate you?
Okay, because it's kind of salt water.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not same. It's dirty and gross. And, yeah.
Oh, Ishii. That not same. That's
See,
different.
But I'm wondering if he could have done it where he could process it and keep the salt in it and still sanitize it. It might have worked. But to directly draw seawater and inject it, just ugh.
Well, there's different kinds of salt.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I kind of
Yeah.
see his reasoning behind it.
I do too. I see
However,
the reasoning, but I just
I don't see the practicality behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Like the logic, because if you take a step back and think for 2 seconds, you go, okay, saline is saline.
Correct.
And
But
why
it's-
would you try to rehydrate somebody with
salt.
with sea salt?
Yeah.
Directly into their system only because saline's sterilized.
Correct.
And the ocean,
And
not
not
so
so
much. There's fish fucking in there.
I was going to say, there's fish poo.
Yeah.
Yuck. Yuck.
Another bacteria.
You think swimming in a fucking... But then I don't really like going swimming in swimming pools either because kids pee in them.
Little bastards.
Whatever.
See? Little germ balls.
And grown-ups with the water turns blue around. Yeah, it's so fucking...
We should be able to shoot them
Yeah.
with paintballs. That's a little bastard right there that peed in the
Yeah.
pool.
Then there was the frostbite experiment. This one is like way bizarre. This one is credited actually to Yoshimura Hisato. He was a physiologist who was assigned to work in Unit 731. This experiment was designed for its practical battlefield application because they get frostbite out in the battlefield.
Yeah, makes sense.
Prior to the experiments, the traditional treatment for frostbite was to rub the limb. You get frostbite, you rub it to get heat back into it.
Well, you share body heat.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
best
best way to do it is
strip
body
naked.
heat.
Well, that's if you're like going into hypothermia, but frostbite is like you're supposed to.
Oh, that's right.
They said you were supposed to rub
Here.
the limb to get friction to get the
Right.
blood flowing again.
Right. Okay, no, that makes sense. Same.
With the experiments done at Unit 731, though, researchers were able to determine a better treatment. The best treatment was to actually immerse the limb in water that's slightly warmer than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but no hotter than 122. So
Okay.
it's like tepid water.
Right.
Which is why when you go into hypothermia and stuff like that now and you're in the hospital, they put the warming blankets on you and kind of do like a aqua submersion to bring your, slowly
okay.
bring your temperatures back up.
That makes sense. So you don't
Yeah.
go into shock. Okay. No, that
Pretty
makes sense. Yeah.
So the tests designed to come to this conclusion were beyond barbaric, though. Another weak stomach, fast forward like 15 seconds. The researchers would take the prisoners outside into the freezing elements. Then they would periodically cover the exposed arms or limbs that they were going to, test on in water until the guard determined the limbs were frostbitten. An Japanese officer actually later reported that they were able to determine frostbite. had been set in by the sound the limbs made. A frozen arm, when struck with a short stick, emitted a sound resembling that which a boar gives when it's struck. Kind of like that twang.
Yeah.
Yeah. This sound told the researchers it was good and frozen and frostbit. Isn't that disgusting?
That's awesome.
Let's do it. No. Let's
I'm
do
sorry.
it to Jake.
I shouldn't say that because then we're going to get more hate mail.
Right.
That is terrible. They should have never have done
Dude,
that.
we should do that to Jake. He's our intern.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah. I'm looking at getting us t-shirts printed up for Christmas for the Brutal Nation logo. And yours is going to say Scotty and mine's going to say something like Squatchalicious or something like that. And his is going to say the intern. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking into it now to see what it's going to cost. And then I want to get some for my grandkids. But.
Yeah, I'm looking at a couple of vendors because just to let you guys know, we're working on getting Brutal Nation
you see,
t-shirts.
and I was thinking about if I can get good ones like printed up that I see are good for us, to wear for ourselves, then I can talk to them about both because it's a local seaside place. Place on the seaside, and I'd rather, I'd like the mom and pop stores, the local businesses. I'm all for supporting them.
Maybe we need to take a trip. Anyway, go ahead with your story.
Love them. Anyways, where was I? Oh, at that point, the infected limb was removed and taken into the lab to be studied. After they had that limb, researchers often returned it to the prisoners' other limbs for the same treatment.
I hate going to resorts like that. It always costs you an arm and a leg.
You're so fucking stupid.
You had to see that one coming.
I knew a dad joke was coming. So once all their limbs were removed for frostbite research, they were sent to another area for other experiments. So they have no arms, no legs, cannot defend themselves, and they're being sent on for more testing. It's like he is like a true hunter. He's utilizing every aspect of his...
Worst vacation ever. You're getting a bad Yelp review.
This is getting 1 star.
Yeah.
Half a star.
This is getting 1 star like the Dallas Cowboys.
I hate you. This meant they were more than likely sent to be tested in the plague or pathogen experiments. And despite the brutality of the research, this allowed the Japanese to come up with a frostbite treatment that was both effective and several years ahead of their competition. So it's reported that the youngest test subject, though, in the temperature experiments was a 3-month-old baby.
See, that's where I draw the fucking line.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my head these were all adults and what have not, and I'm making jokes, but you're talking 3-year-old? Okay, Ishii, fuck right off now.
Yeah.
You are now officially a sugar tits.
Yeah.
'Cause I fucking hate people that do that to
Numbnuts.
kids.
He's a guy. Numbnuts.
No, he'll be a sugar tits. I'm gonna emasculate him a little bit. Little fucking basic bitch.
Yeah. Dude. So in addition to the medical research, it was also set up to do weapons testing. Some of these tests were designed as defensive experiments for new equipment. For example, gas masks. It's been documented that the researchers would force their prisoners to wear certain masks, and once they were on, they were subject to any number of toxic gases. This was done to determine which masks were the best ones. And although this next part is unconfirmed, it's a claim that it's highly believed among historians that these tests were the tests that led to the testing for the first biohazard suits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay, that
which I
sounds
kinda
cool.
believe.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, because if you're looking at the pictures from back when he was doing these testings, they kind of look like biohazard suits. Just saying. I have this hanging on, it's bugging me.
I got some clippers up here somewhere.
I'm sure you do. But you'll be looking for them forever. You found them right there, didn't you? Then there were the offensive weapons tests. These tests fell into 2 separate categories. The first category was weaponizing humans. A group of prisoners were deliberately exposed and infected with various diseases. Of the infected prisoners, a select group of candidates was used in weaponization. They wanted to understand the impact of the disease better. Okay? In order to do this, the infected prisoners were not given any treatment for the disease. They were often vivisected, which...
I know what vivisection is.
but for people, it's like cut open and they're like a live autopsy.
Right.
In order to study the impact of the disease had on all the internal organs. Sometimes these surgical procedures were done and as the prisoner was alive and they were being cut open with a scalpel with no anesthesia.
Jeez.
So like Mengele.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Let's see if I got it. let's see. I read an article that talked about a 1995 interview with a former medical assistant from the Japanese Army. And he talked about dissecting a 30-year-old prisoner without anesthesia while he was alive. Check this out. This is what he said. The fellow knew that it was over for him, and so he didn't struggle when they led him into the room and tied him down. But when I picked up the scalpel, that's when he began screaming. I cut him open from the chest to the stomach, and he screamed terribly, and his face was twisted in agony. He made this unimaginable sound. He was screaming so horribly. But then finally he stopped. That was all in a day's work for the surgeons, but it really left an impression on me because it was my first time.
Wow.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine. The second category was the field testing of the various systems that were used to disperse the diseases to others. And the prisoners at this facility weren't the only subjects of these tests. They were also conducted on the civilians outside of the compound. Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to get, like, neighbors of the facility?
Oh, wait. I'll tell you what he did. Inside the camp, Ishii infected prisoners with syphilis.
Holy shit.
Once they were infected, he would then force them to have sex with healthy, uninfected prisoners. So this was done so that he could observe the disease from the onset.
Dude, that is fucked.
Yeah, then outside the camp, he injected dumplings with the typhoid virus and fed them to the prisoners. And he then released the prisoners into the community so that they could spread the virus to others. He gave chocolates laced with anthrax chemicals to little children in the villages. And since the majority of people in the surrounding villages were starving, they didn't even question why they were getting the food.
You know
they
what?
were just
You're
grateful
right.
for
Worse
the apparent
than
act of
Mengele, 'cause
kindness.
at least Mengele wasn't giving poisoned fucking candies to the kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
What a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, and he took advantage of the fact that they were starving. They're not going to question where they're getting their food from. They're just going to get the food.
And you and I were talking about that, I think, earlier this week at why I'm so food-centric is because, you know, I'm always afraid that I'm going to starve because I was raised that poor.
Dude.
That we didn't eat and shit.
You go to the Grammys and you're like, you know, all these fucking awesome performers were up there performing and you're like, dude, the canapes were bomb.
No,
the
seriously.
wine was amazing. How was this?
That's right.
I don't know.
we had that conversation. I was at a record release party, and you know, I can't mention the dude. You know, he's been wanting to meet you so bad, Scott. Hey, what's your? Oh, that's great. By the way, man, did you try this and this? And the wine's amazing. Oh my God, the food. Oh no,
I need to get me a bottle of this.
No, I really good album that you're getting ready to release, man. It's awesome to meet you. Thanks. Hey,
wait, here, take by the shrimp.
Yeah, like, did you try this over here? You know, did you try like the lobster bisque? You know, and people look at me, and that's why I have to explain to everybody when I go to really black tie parties that look, I appreciate meeting everybody, but
I'm here for the food.
I was raised so fucking poor that we didn't know. Like when you go, okay, we're all gonna have a bowl of soup today.
Yeah.
And that's it. You become very food centric.
Yeah. Your mommy made like rock soup, didn't she? Like stone soup. You know,
Just
remember
about.
that fucking fable?
Just about, yeah. That's why I am. That's the reason why I've honestly put in as many hours as I do and work hard and built a company.
And your fridge is always fucking full.
You want to know why?
I mean, stuff goes bad in there. It's so fucking full.
I work every day this hard, and I've got several people that will attest to this because in my head, tomorrow, if I don't work, like if I slack off, I'm going to starve to death.
Yeah.
And it's not logical. It's not logical. I've got an income level which I can buy any amount of food from anywhere in the world. And
for years.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
But in my head, I keep everything well stocked because tomorrow I'm going to not have food.
So when you started getting money and everything, did you start like hiding food in different places so that, you know what I mean?
No, I
like a food stasher?
So, kind of a funny thing. So when I got my very first contract, my first big one that paid significant amount of money, when you talk to a lot of people, like, dude, I bought a brand new car or I bought a house. I went grocery shopping because up until then, like I had a budget of seriously like $20 a week.
Right.
To
Well,
buy
you can
food.
make it stretch.
Yeah,
if you buy ramen.
A lot of ramen, a lot of like dried pastas and things that were really cheap. I went grocery shopping and I spent a whole $50.
Ooh, big spender.
Ooh, yeah. And at the time it wasn't, and I was still scared, but I stocked where I was living with very sustainable foods.
Right.
You know, and I was happy as shit, but I was still scared. Like I was like pigeonholing money away, going,
Yeah.
you know, okay, well, I want to make sure I could still eat in a week. Type thing.
Yeah.
And I had a '76 Camaro that was beat to shit.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I didn't go out and buy a brand new Mercedes or a BMW. I bought fucking food.
Wow.
That was my big purchase, was going out and...
I'm surprised you don't have like a survivalist shelter type food hidden in your closet just in case. Or do you?
I thought about it. I got wine in my closet now.
Yeah. No, because I mean,
That's how I
they sell them
survive.
at Costco. They have those survival kits at Costco. And I've seen that they have them at Walmart too.
Oh, yeah.
But
You can buy
yeah,
those.
I'm surprised you don't have just in case.
I'd
But-
just run up to Mount Hood and, you know,
Dude,
get guns and fucking hunt.
MREs are fucking gross. Have you ever had an
Yeah.
MRE? They're just disgusting.
They are disgusting.
My uncle used to bring them home to us, and we loved them as a kid because we're like, oh, but yeah, they're gross.
Nasty ass fucking things.
I know. Rehydrate shit with hot
Yeah,
water.
I'm against this dude already right now because he's fucking...
Yeah.
You don't fuck with someone's food.
Yeah.
That's, you know, even practical jokes and everything like that. I don't believe in doing food practical jokes with anybody or anything because you don't fuck with someone's food.
Right. Well, and this one also, you know, like during, I mean, you hear stories about like during World War II, World War I, and Vietnam War, where they would drop the aid packages from aircraft.
Yeah.
Low-flying aircraft.
Yep.
And these items such as wheat, rice, strips of paper, like similar to confetti that had writings on them, like inspirational things.
Right.
Remember that? It's later revealed that all of these items he was dropping were infected with one disease or another, and all of them were deadly, to say the least.
Jesus, what a fucking
So these
piece
people
of
think
work.
they're getting like aid, and they're getting fucking infected.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
sitting and you're starving, and somebody, wow, we got like a bunch of rice.
Right,
We're
exactly.
gonna be able to eat, and,
And
this-
rice goes a long way.
yeah, and this dude's fucking you over. What a fucking piece of
Mm-hmm.
garbage.
Exactly. So none of these research experiments held a candle to Ishii's bombs. Those were what placed him at the top of the heap when it comes to bioweapon research. Ishii developed plague bombs, which with a highly unusual payload. Normally, they would use a metal container. However, Ishii had a stroke of genius in a sense. He chose to use ceramic and clay containers so that they wouldn't have as much explosion, and that allowed them to fill them with plague infected fleas. Say that real fast 5 times.
Shit.
That could infect countless individuals. So the fleas and everything wouldn't like die from the explosion.
Right.
Okay? So since he couldn't improve the traditional methods of spreading Black Death, Ishii decided his best bet would be to cut out the middleman, so to speak. In other words, he took the rats out of the equation. If he filled these bombs with infected fleas, the ones that survived the explosion would seek out new hosts to feed on and spread the disease to.
It's ingenious. It's fucked up.
I know, I told you
but
it was
it's
genius.
ingenious, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So the Japanese troops dropped many of these bombs on many of the villages and towns across China during World War II. However, Ishii had an ultimate plan. He called this plan Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night. Okay? This operation in which Ishii planned to drop these same types of flea-infested bombs on the United States. I want you to keep this in mind here just a few minutes, okay? If he were able to follow through with the plan, Ishii would have carried it out in September of 1945. Okay? That's when he would have taken 20 of the 500 troops that were arriving in Harbin and put them in a submarine. This submarine would have taken them to the southern coast of California. And that's when they would have manned planes and flown it straight to San Diego. And once they were above San Diego, they would have deployed the plague bombs over unwitting city. To top it off, the troops were then to take their own lives by crashing their plane into American soil. It was a kamikaze mission.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So the ironic thing here is the Americans struck first. I said, and then I go, well, it's not the ironic thing. The ironic thing is it was America's true interest in Ishii and his research that had a big hand in saving his life. The war actually ended before the entirety of the operation could be mapped out and come to fruition because America dropped the atomic bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki before he could do that.
That I knew was coming.
Yeah. Then
Yep.
in August of 1945, the order came down to destroy Unit 731 and all the evidence of the research conducted there. Remember when Mengele was told to destroy his research?
Yes.
And he's kept some?
Yep.
Okay, Ishii did the same thing.
Huh, there's a shocker.
Yeah, he got his family out of the area, and he wanted to make sure all the facilities and the records were destroyed. However, so there's no way to know exactly how many numbers of victims he had. However, there have been estimates ranging from 200 to 300,000.
Jesus.
And the deaths from the human experience alone typically fall around 3,000. Okay? However, by the end of the war, any prisoners that were left in the compound were killed.
Well, can't have them get out.
Well, and that's what they did with,
Mengele.
Mengele
Yeah.
did the same thing. So Ishii was ordered by his government to destroy any and all documentation that pertained to his experiments. However, like Mengele, he couldn't quite part with it. He kept some of his personal lab notes and took them with him to Tokyo when he went into hiding. Okay? That's when the American authorities went to pay him a visit
And they released Godzilla?
during their occupation of Japan. No, dude.
Just asking.
Although there were vague reports and rumors coming out of China about the strange disease outbreaks and plague bombs, none of that was taken seriously. Okay? They weren't taken seriously until the Soviets took Manchuria back from the Japanese, and that's when they also learned enough about Ishii to have a vested interest in him. Okay? So the Russians wanted him, and the Americans wanted him. Okay? Russians wanted to interview him. Okay?
Well, we know how those go. How that went down.
We know how that goes.
Yeah.
So the Americans got to him before Soviets did. Ishii's daughter said that they used her to translate while they interrogated him about the nature of his work. He tried pretending he had no idea what they were talking about. However, he's smart enough to secure immunity from prosecution, protection from the Soviet Union, and $50,000 yen, excuse me. After getting his terms met, he started talking. When all is said and done, before Ishii died, he gave 80% of his data to the United States. The other 20% he kept and took to the grave with him. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he negotiated immunity and security. The United States kept its end of the bargain. However, it could have also been done in an effort to maintain the monopoly on all of his research. Whatever the case, the crimes committed by Unit 731 and other facilities were suppressed. American authorities even went so far as to label the whole thing Soviet propaganda at one point. Okay? Then, yet, a top secret telegraph was sent from Tokyo to Washington in 1947 that has come to the surface, and it explicitly states experiments on humans were ... described by 3 Japanese and confirmed tacitly by Ishii. Ishii states that if guaranteed immunity from war crimes in documentary form for himself, superiors, and subordinates, he can describe the program in detail. So he not only wanted immunity for himself, he wanted it for everybody at the facility.
Well, yeah, think about it, man. You can't do the work by yourself. It's a good... Okay. Don't hate me, motherfuckers, because I'm about ready to say this, okay? Just hear me out.
I hate you already, but go ahead.
It's a good business tactic.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got bargaining chips. He bargained for what he wanted, and everybody kind of comes out, maybe not as happy as they want to be,
Right.
but everybody comes out to a nice medium where that's acceptable. It's business.
Right. Well, I say my next sentence that the United States chose to deal with the devil.
Yeah,
In
there
order
you
to
go.
reap the benefit of his information. I still don't know if it was to keep it out of the hands of the Soviets, because it could have been because they wanted results from the research they were unwilling to conduct themselves. So
Yeah,
it's
there
like,
you go.
do we want to keep this information away from the Soviets, or we don't want to do these experiments, but we want the information on what happens?
It's not an either or. It's both.
It's both. Okay.
It's both. I mean, because think about it, man. We had a beef with the Soviets for a long
Since
time.
before World War I.
Right.
Yeah.
So why give your enemy this information? You want to keep that. You want
Right.
to, you want a stronger army,
Correct.
because, okay. Want to know who the toughest guy in the world is? the man pointing the gun at you.
I was going to say the one with the power, the one with
the one who's pointing the gun at you. And I don't care if he's 2 foot tall or if he's 50 foot tall. He's the strongest man in the world at that point. He's the toughest man in the world. It's the same thing. You know, if we've got, especially when your enemy knows that you have this information.
Right.
It makes them think twice. It's like, we were going to do this, but America's kind of a big hillbilly country, and these motherfuckers will drop these fleas on us, and then we're all fucked. Because you ever try to outrun a flea?
Yeah, can't.
You can't, man. Those little motherfuckers are like, they're like little ninjas.
Right, just when you see one like jump on you, you go to grab it, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. It's like, where the fuck did you go, man? It's like Houdini shit going on.
Yeah. So, however, the American government soon learned that the most of the research evidence that Ishii had wasn't nearly as valuable to them as he had led them to believe. Yet they were true to their word, and he enjoyed immunity. He lived in peace until he died at 67 from throat cancer.
Here's the thing. You gotta keep people guessing. So if you say, "Oh no, he gave us information, but it wasn't that valuable," that offers up a thing where you're sitting there. Yeah, you're sitting there going, "Hey, wait a minute."
Right.
Well, can you smell that? That smells like some bullshit.
Right. Like bullshit. I'm allergic to bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, the Russians are sitting there going, I think that they're fucking with us. We better not fuck with them too hard because they're fucking with us. Because they already know. They already know that even a little bit of this information,
right,
a tiny fraction of this information, especially anything when it comes to cold weather warfare.
Oh, yeah. No doubt, yo.
They're fucked.
Yeah.
They're totally fucked. So, yeah, it keeps your enemy thinking, well, maybe we don't want to really fight them.
Yeah, because it's like so that meant that if our troops went to Russia to fight them, we had all that cold weather warfare information, and we'd be able to, even if they lived in Russia, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're up there where it's cold all the time, and,
There's a big difference between having the upper hand on somebody and everything being completely equal.
Yeah.
You have to hedge your bets, man. If everything's
and
completely
even if you don't know anything, if your enemy thinks you do, that's psychological warfare.
Oh, shit, yeah. Half of business meetings is all about psychological warfare.
Well, that's why you did psychology as a minor, so you could,
It helps.
Yeah.
It does help a lot.
I believe you. So many years later, actually, the North Korean government alleged that the United States dropped similar plague bombs on their country during the Korean War. To investigate, scientists from Italy, France, Sweden, Brazil, and the Soviet Union, with a British embryologist in the lead, toured the affected areas. They took samplings from all around and went back to the labs and had it tested. Their verdict was released in the 50s. They determined that germ warfare had been used on North Korea, as they had claimed. However, the United States also officially classified this information as Soviet propaganda.
But of course.
But was it really?
We would never do that.
Yeah.
Because, the information he gave us was it's nothing. It's worthless. Trust me. It was only driven by a little old lady from Pasadena just right up the road to go grocery shopping once a week. Those are, I know this car's 50 years old, but
the Soviets said.
But, it's only got 100 original miles on it. That's what they're doing. It's car salesmen.
You and I grew up in the 80s where, the Cold War and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. The Russians were a bunch of big old ass liars.
Oh, shit, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny when we're talking about the difference between the Soviets, because in the Soviet Union at the time, their propaganda was that we're evil Americans and we're going to take away their way of life and everybody's going to starve to death. And that when people were still starving.
Yeah.
Because,
standing in line for a slice of bread.
A slice of bread. And over here, we're the evil Soviets. They're going to try to take over the world.
They're rationing their food and
and they want you to be a communist. And
Yeah.
here's the point between for this one here is that both countries were lying to us all. That's what the fuck it was. They're all lying motherfuckers.
all lying ass motherfuckers. So this leads to uncomfortable questions left unanswered. Maybe we should consider the following when we come to our own conclusion. There are a few things that have come to light that were once considered classified. Okay? In 1951, a document marked classified showed that the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff issued orders to start large-scale field tests to determine the effectiveness of specific biological warfare agents under operational conditions. Then in 1954, the United States deployed Operation Big Itch, in which they dropped flea bombs on the Dugway Proving Ground in Utah. Okay? One thing we do know for sure is that it's well-established fact that Ishii died in 1959. When he died, he was a free man thanks to the deal the devil thought to make with the United States.
That's a brilliant deal.
Was a brilliant deal.
Now, while I'm disgusted by what he did, the man's obviously not stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, my question's about Ishii. Ready?
Nature.
I'm not even there yet. Give me a fucking minute.
No, I've been waiting to say that because this motherfucker's 100% nature.
Yeah. So I'm telling our audience now. When I told Scott I was following up my feature on Mengele with someone that would put him to shame, you were in doubt. Highly in doubt. That was until I told you this man was a Japanese scientist. And then you're like, oh, shit. Because I don't want to get into the horror and atrocities Ishii committed against innocent people. However, it doesn't stop me from having a bunch of questions. That first one, it's harder with wartime serial killers, but you just said nature. Right?
100%. It sounds like he came from a decent fucking upbringing.
Right, and he had a natural desire to learn more about this.
Right, and he took his natural desire and said, hey, I'm going to create my own little niche for this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to learn.
Ishii had a niche.
He did.
I'm kidding, people.
And that was a dad joke, by the way. That's my job as a dad joke.
I know.
But and that's exactly what he did. He went out. He went right to his top commanders, like he had big brass balls.
He did.
So I admire that. But yeah, this is 100% nature. I think it was in his nature all along to not just succeed, but to do anything necessary to succeed, and that could come at the price of his friends, his neighbors, relatives. I don't think he cared.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody who got in his way.
Right. As long as he can catch that next level.
Right. So, you and I had talked about how the crimes of Mengele were better known because we were taught about the horrors of the Holocaust in school.
Right.
Remember that? And do you think that the horrific crimes of Ishii weren't taught because the United States actually actively covered them up?
Yeah, because how do you present that to a bunch of teenagers when you're talking about Auschwitz and going, oh, but this Ishii guy, he did some horrible things too.
Well, yeah.
But unfortunately, the government said you can be a free man, and he didn't have to flee to Argentina or anything.
Well, and I know for a fact, too, that when I was in school, a lot of emphasis is put on the Holocaust. I mean, we read Diary of Anne Frank. There's a big old section on it. But they gloss over the Japanese internment camps in America.
Yeah.
We did the same fucking thing. We weren't killing them all, but we did the same thing.
It's all still propaganda,
even
to this day.
Yeah.
And I love my country, but it's still,
you still to this day don't hear a whole lot about the Japanese internment
because
camps.
it's really easy to point your fingers at the bad guy. Okay?
Oh yeah, totally.
Like the Nazis go, they're horrible.
And that's total deflection too, because it's like, okay, I'm doing bad here, but if I point out bad over there, they're not going to focus over here. They're going to focus over there.
And it's really hard for any government, I believe, to stand up and go, okay, so Ishii here, he did a bunch of bad shit, flea bombs, blah, blah, blah. But he got to live out his life as a free man and didn't have to flee because, no pun intended for the flee, because, we struck a deal with him. And he gave us his information, and then we bullshitted everybody by saying, no, it wasn't valuable at all. And we end up using it.
I was going to say, my next question was, do you think that our troops did drop plague bombs in the 1950s on North Korea?
Yeah, I think we probably did,
Yeah.
But there's a thing called plausible deniability, and that's what the government will always use.
Always. Our government always uses that.
That's why I never hear about the UFOs that they have over there.
I was going to say, I am a very patriotic person, and I support our troops, but I also know that there are some shady dealings in the higher-ups.
Yeah, no shit, man. There's stuff that's going on right now that you and I have no fucking idea about.
No clue.
Yeah, no clue.
No clue. Yeah. So when I think of the outrage that I had towards the way South American countries aided hiding Mengele, I didn't know where to begin about the U.S. actively protecting Ishii. It was well known. They protected that man.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So
that's why we never hear about that.
I was going to say, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you feel about it? Do you think that they should have offered him immunity and shit?
No.
Or, yeah?
I think that
they did the right thing?
No. No.
No. They should have kept him in like a prison type thing, but
exactly.
Yeah.
The deal should have been you give us all your information and we don't execute you,
True.
and we don't execute your family.
Right. And we don't put you through the Nuremberg trials. We just freaking, you go to fucking Cuba and sit in Guantanamo.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be like, hey, if you give us all this really cool information, we're going to protect you against our enemies, which we would have anyway.
Right. But they
know?
let him live his life and
Then you can live your life out and, you can juggle monkeys or masturbate or do whatever the fuck. I don't know what the hell Ishii did. Stick a finger up his ass. I don't fucking know. You can do whatever the hell you want every day, and that's cool. That's bullshit, man.
Yeah.
Because I think that, and we touched on this so many times, that laws are laws and punishments are punishments, and it should be the same across the
For
fucking
everybody.
board. It shouldn't be that, like, for example, like Mengele,
Right.
they're going, hey, if we get him, he's getting executed.
Yeah, he's going to die.
But Ishii, well, that's different.
Yeah.
We can't execute
Because his wasn't a
him.
pseudoscience. It was a real scientific fact.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like, and his daughter, I was reading some of her interviews and stuff, and I believe this should be across the board for any daughter and her father, but he was her hero. It's like, to her, he didn't do anything wrong. He was just doing things to better the world.
No, I dig.
So, which I think it's awesome that she felt that way, but at the same time,
Right.
I'm like, really?
But it could have been that she didn't know the entire story. You know what I mean?
That's true too.
I mean, do you tell your kids everything that you've ever done? All the horrible shit?
No, my dad told me a lot of the horrible shit he did. Shut up. Don't even say it.
Have you ever been tied to a bed, Tammy?
I hate you. But it's like, but at the same time, I'm very honest about the fact that my dad was a jerk, I remember standing in line, in the card section one time for Father's Day, right? And I'm looking at all these cards, and they're all like, oh, the laughter you gave me, putting me on your shoulders and everything. And I looked at somebody that was standing there and I go, why don't these ever say what we need them to say? Happy Father's Day, you big dick.
Exactly. Well, but okay, let's go with this. Let's say you're a serial killer.
Right.
Okay. And in your younger years, through your 20s and your 30s, you were hacking people up. You never got caught or anything like that, right? Are you going to be sitting around the dinner table with Bullfrog and your mom and going, hey, by the way, little fun fact, when I was 23, I killed a family of 4, chopped them up, and left them in their basement. They'll never find those.
Well, look at Bobby Joe Long's daughter.
Yeah,
Exactly. She was a daddy's girl.
Yeah.
And, and there's another one that I'm going to feature in a couple of weeks, I think. And his daughter idolized him until she found out what he did. And then it was like her whole world came crumbling down.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't fault Ishii's daughter for idolizing her dad because, number one, the bond between a father and a daughter is something that
it's like no other.
Yeah, it's like no other.
Yeah.
And maybe she doesn't have all the information. We can point fingers at her and say, how could you love him? But at the end of the day, no matter what Ishii did, that's still his baby girl, man. That's still his daughter.
Well, and I know exactly what my dad did to my mom and my sister and everything. But
you know what I'm gonna do to your
loved
mom.
my dad. Shut up. I loved my dad. I was daddy's little girl. And even though I didn't know him really till I was 18, it's like I kind of hero worshipped him growing up. It's like my dad wouldn't let this happen to me. So I had, and so it took me a long time to come to terms with the fact he wasn't the dad I always wanted. But he was the best dad he could be to me.
That makes sense.
That
makes sense.
Yeah, we had a bond. Like no other. In those last 4 years of his life, it was like that was my dad. I called him daddy. That was my daddy.
That makes sense. So what are your other questions? Because I got to pee.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all.
Cool. It means I can take a pee pee. Yay!
I'm glad our listeners know that you have to tinkle.
Never mind. I'm done.
Tinkling?
Yeah, I'm finished. Can't wear these
You're
pants
so
or use
dumb.
this chair ever again. All right, folks, this has been Brutal Nation. Remember to check out the website at www.twistedbluellc.com. Send us an email to tell me how much you love me, and then there's always her. Damn it.
Her.
Yeah, whatever.
Her.
At brutalnation. I'm
Brutal
sorry.
Nation at Twisted
TwistedBlueLLC.com. Jesus Christ.
You do this a lot, you know.
That's drugs, man.
Yeah.
Don't overdo drugs. It'll fuck your brain up.
Yeah, and don't forget we've been picked up by another publication on Medium. So I mean, we're getting out there all over Medium now.
Yeah, so check us out on the blogs on Medium, Crime Beat, which is on Medium, Hub Pages, and Vocal Media.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, this show's copyrighted 2021 by Twisted Blue LLC. All rights reserved. We will talk to you boys and girls later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.